I would see you and I would tell Carl, hey, just get ready for him because he coming down again. Yeah, and I would just run away, and I would always run away to the nearby breezeway and just, sit in the breezeway and cry. Miss Mary would sit down and tell me all these stories about parenting, decision making, and things like that. We would sit there and talk, and then she would have one of the boys take me on back home. Very Yeah, but it's like there were at least 30 houses on each side of the terrace, but it seemed like at some point, like only half of the terrace knew one another. I think there were about two people who lived down the other end of the terrace who actually interacted with everybody else, but everybody else down that end was like strangers. But that whole heroin thing, man, moved in, rapidly. Started getting a lot of houses broken in. They broke in our house one time, man. Me and my sister were upstairs and we were asleep. My mother worked the overnight shift. And these jokers broke into the house, sat down at the kitchen table, ate all the candy. Yeah, they ate all the sweets. It's a big thing for heroin addicts to eat a lot of sweets. They didn't come up there and mess with us, thank God. But they took everything. They took the television, they took the stereo, they took the peanut butter and jelly, they did everything, man. And my mother came home the next morning like, it was livid. Sometimes we have, the neighbors from hell who you wish would move, get kicked out, don't pay the rent or something. You got to go. Yeah, but again, that heroin thing, man, just robbed the whole environment, man, of a lot. But we spent many days in that field across the street from the house playing so many games of baseball, man. I was glad we lived across from there because I couldn't go off the terrace, but I could always go across the street because my mother could see where I was. So we played a lot of football, a lot of baseball. Hell, I didn't weigh but a couple of ounces, but it was always fun. Uh, I said I wasn't going to make just another love song, right? I didn't want to do a love song at all. But it's unavoidable, man. As a human being, you come into contact with people every day, man, and some you connect with, some you reject. Your spirit just rejects them. Now, just get away. It's like you run, Forrest, run. That kind of mindset, right? But when you find somebody, man, who you really vibing with, right? That's the easy thing, especially if you got a caretaker kind of person. They just like lure all the problem children, But anywho, so but the thing about love is, man, it's an action word, right? And you just have to learn not just how to love somebody the way you want to love them, but you have to learn how to love somebody the way they need to be loved. You have to protect me, baby. In this place, nuts, berries, and fruits, rivers of milk and honey, silk brocade, soup, paradoxical enlightenment, spirits running free, creations in pairs, just one made like me, a servant to the core, toiling hand and foot, the morning dew upon my body, it clings to me like soot, prostrating on a daily, all praises due, balance and tranquility, he said she bring to you. If three of us together formulate the twine, a cord cannot be broken, relies upon the divine. It's not the voice of reason that tore us from this place. An unconscionable intuition made us have With you, I went away. I would love no more. Been married before. Here together, trying to pass the test, spreading seeds abroad, mankind just a mess. Had lives with one another, lost sight of our purpose, spirits in disarray, buried beneath our surface, masquerading representatives. No fear of the one above. Traumatic indentations scarring the ones we love. Ordained from conception to care for and protect. What he gave in her from him would help us live correct. With free will in our being, and it gone unchecked. Internal strife, man needs a wife, more than one I did select. The appointment will bring us guidance. Heed the words they say. Patiently persevering, remembrance the only way. I'm not lost without you. With you, I went away. I want love no more. Been married before. Without you. Oh, my love, I gave my love to you. Spoke promises, not idle chatter. Kept my word, reciprocated absurd. My life to you didn't matter. You told me that you loved me. Malicious covert game to play. Selfishly combative. Compromise was not your way. Vacillating spirit, cognitive dissonance and command. Reject my role of leader, desecrate me as a man. Loving me is easy, display attributes of him. Bad lady from the start, married life to you was grim. Treated like an object, placed upon a shelf. Use me when you wanted to. Thought all about yourself. I'm not lost without you. With you, I went away. I want love no more. Been married before. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host, as always, Sterling. We got a great one today, as always. Yeah. Emotional infidelity. That's the part that happens before they get together and do the do. But Tina was right. You see, you got to learn how to not only love a person the way you know how to love. Yeah, baby. But you have to love them the way they need to be loved. You know? You know? I can tell you how to love me, how to handle me. Yeah, because you got to know how to handle me. Right? You got to learn how to handle my heart, my mind, my spirit. Right? You have to have a go-to source. You know, the same one that I use. Yeah, God. Because if that ain't your go-to source, well, this is, you got a go-away source. This ain't y'all didn't know I did that part too, did you? Yeah. So, yeah. Let's get it right. You got that little falsetto thing going on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's happening, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I am your host, as always. Yeah, Shabir Ali. What's going on, y'all? Yeah, we seem to be having a little difficulty over there on the Facebook side of things. Y'all know I'm no longer doing uh, the show on Instagram. So if you didn't know, now you know. Um, Announced it last week and the week before that I'd be transitioning uh, everything to my Shabir Aleem educational station on YouTube. And the reason being is because it's a central location and they have made a lot of changes on YouTube. Well, since my music has come out back in 2021, right? My music is on uh, the music in the music platform of YouTube. But also now you can do like random videos on YouTube. Yeah, right from my phone, I can just go ahead into the studio like I do all the other platforms, and it goes right to my Shabir Aleem educational station on YouTube. And that's really what I've been building for years now. I mean, I've been what 2006, 2005, somewhere along the line is when I really started doing a lot of my videos. I was doing what Daddy's Right Here Live. I did the Wise View, Sauce Spot. So I started doing the shows back then, and it's been a consistent presence. So I want to keep building on that. And uh, Instagram and even Facebook are not giving me the connect. I'm able to get some exposure, with different people, and even maintain and sustain relationships with people who I haven't talked to in years. Like I got a call from Sandra Ali. Ali, that was like that my bucket list. I checked that off. You don't get a call from Sandra Ali, right? So and that was a connect that I've had in my contacts for many years. Um, because throughout the years I've met a lot of people and interact, and we kind of see each other in passing and never remember, hey, like what? Yeah, oh yeah, and so that is important. That was contact. Had I been, still living up in Pennsylvania, we might have connected on some other stuff. But I'm saying all that to say that, I'm transitioning into just a Shabir Aleem educational station on YouTube. Um, because of the convenience of being able to just randomly pick up my phone and go right to my main station. Don't have to worry about edits. I don't worry about edits. I'm always a hot mic kind of person. So what I say, I say. It's said. Period. But so I didn't want to just drop y'all off on Facebook just like that, but I just want to aid everybody in the transition. And part of the transition was cutting Instagram, right? Getting ready to cut out X. There's no benefit for me being, using X. Um, all of the advertisements for Aleem for You, the e-commerce store that we have, is also on YouTube. So everything is funneled to the same place. I'm just too old, man, to be trying to keep up with this, that, and the other, and all these other things. It's a central location, one stop shopping. Come here, get a good message, learn something, have some aha moments with me learning stuff, being able to see the merchandise that we offer. Check out aleemforyou.net if you haven't already. Listen, holiday season is in full fling. People are buying. Go get your merchandise. If you haven't been to aleemforyou.net, you need to get there now. Our prices are probably half of what you're paying for the exact same merchandise. Our product is different because our product is our brand. Aleem for You is our brand, right? So you want to look at the cost. Look at the cost. Our designs far surpass anybody else's. And listen, everybody has their own flavor. I get that part. But when you're looking for quality designs, when you're looking for like work, and I'm going to video the session and fast forward to show you from what point the design begins and what we ultimately end up with, because that's important to understand. It's important to understand that you're dealing directly with the artist. The artist. This is not something that we went and bought all of these wraps and so on and so forth and we just selling them. No, we buy wraps. We have bought wraps, right? And what we do is we build the wrap. We make it a wrap with little black girls. Take a little black girl, set up the whole scenario for her, put the little designs in there, put a boy in there, put backgrounds in there, add flowers, butterflies, whatever it is that we're looking. And that's the difference, that there's labor being put into it. Not only is it labor being put into it, it's thought. It's thought. We're thinking about the customer. The things are designed with the customer in mind. It's not just a design that here, like this or not like this, and give you comparisons of 30 other tumblers or whatever to look at and say, pick one. We want you to look at one and want that one. And then look at, and that's what we want you to do with every one of the design. We want you to want them all. So we put love and labor and passion into our product, right? Even marketing. I do my own ads, right? So I take the time. I gotta download the mock presentations of the images, put them into different backgrounds, put the music to it, do all of those things, and then go ahead and 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a day, push the items out so you can into the feed so you can see what we got going on, right? So there has to be some consistency with site stability. Severe Lean Facebook page has been established for a minute now, right? So um, all of you are important. Just trying to make the transition to this platform on YouTube, because it's easier for me to be able to show you everything we're working with, everything that goes on, right? When you look at my stuff, you very rarely see like personal stuff other than this content here. You won't see, like I don't post pictures of the baby and what vacations and stuff we don't. I just that's not why I'm on. And if you want to know about what's happening with the baby and all that other kind of stuff, right? Then you just call me. My contact information there. Shoot me an email. My phone number's there too. So I'm not hiding. I'm in plain sight. Excuse me. I'm just trying to streamline some things for the old guy to be able to keep up. Because managing multiple sites is just it's not feasible anymore. I'm using StreamYard now. I was using the paid plan at one point. Um, it was a free plan, then it went to a paid plan, and I love using StreamYard. Because you can go to StreamYard and you can put stuff on several different platforms depending on the plan. So now I'm just down to one, and I used to have the different things on there, the music and this and that, and got the countdown stuff. It's a lot of stuff that I like about using uh, StreamYard. Um, they've been making some adjustments. I understand, because a lot of people left. A lot of people were using StreamYard. Paid or unpaid plans. A lot of people were using that, man, and man, I'm still holding on. But right now, it's just for me, it's a matter of I want to continue to do what it is that I'm doing. But since I retired, I've had to scale down, cut back on some stuff. It's just necessary for me to spend money in particular areas. I got to know where I'm spending my money and why I'm spending my money in those areas. And that's important. It's important to know where your money is going, where you're sending your money, you know? And a lot of times, like, and you got to check your bank accounts too, man, because I've canceled 2 subscriptions over a month ago, and they recently billed me. Yeah, like, people do slimy stuff. Let me say this: business is slimy. I don't care how big of a smile you get from people. I don't care how big of a discount. Listen, I'm I'm a business person. I've been in nonprofit, full profit. I've been at many different tables. I've done many different things. People are just slimy. It's so much greed out there. It's so much greed. It's so much slickness. It's so much deception that goes on, man. People are not transparent at all. At all. I'm talking about anybody in relationships, in business, and just in Facebook, in the virtual world. You expect it. No, some of y'all do. Some of y'all think that they're real. But like so many people, man, but business is just, if you think about it, the wife and I, we were driving, we were talking about something. We were talking about old school, candies and things like that. And I was saying how, yeah, I remember when Tootsie Rolls used to taste like chocolate. You could taste the chocolate texture. Now they taste like plastic, chocolate flavored plastic, right? They're smaller, they're thinner. We used to get the Tootsie Rolls used to be thick, and it would be chocolate, 100% chocolate. Sure, they got to put the other stuff in there. Now, everything is smaller. Tuna fish cans used to be 8 ounces. Then one day I wound up going to the store and got the cans. And damn, this can look kind of small, but the price was the same. It had dropped down to 6 ounces, right? And then they're probably not even using real tuna. They're probably using the lowest grade tuna that they can possibly find, some tuna farms or something like that. That's what everything has come to, man. Like, we have meat that's not even real meat, lab grown meat, right? And then everybody keeps talking about eat this and don't eat that, and don't. 20 years from now, you shouldn't have ate that. And listen, do your best. You're driving people nuts, man. With all this stuff that keep coming up to do and not to do, and then you're condemning people and for doing this and doing that. Vegetables are sprayed with more stuff than the processed meats have in them. Come on. It's what are you eating? If you're not growing your own, if you don't live in a bubble, if you're not treating your own soil, because don't forget about those chem streams, if you're not living in a bubble, you're subjected to something. We don't have control over what we eat. We don't have control over our air, our water source. We don't have control over a damn thing. Nothing. But we keep having these conversations and these debates like we can change this stuff. Even with the herbs, I'm real big on the use of herbs, right? And you got to cycle them. That's for me. If you know anything about tolerance, and you know anything about use, abuse, misuse, but if you know anything about tolerance, you know that after a certain period of time, the body requires more of what you once gave it, right? And your mind is so powerful that your mind can tell you that you are deficient, more deficient, or still in deficient mode in the particular area, just so you can continue doing a thing. Yeah, like I used the Malayan herbs, the Malayan leaf. right? Somebody said, "Oh, you're pronouncing it wrong." See how we go? We just like we drive ourselves nuts with irrelevant things. So people call it Maline, some people call it Malian, some people call it Mullen. Listen, Malian is what I call it, right? Mullein. Call it whatever the hell you want. So I used the herbs, right? Uh, Former cigarette smoker for many years, picked up the bad habit after not smoking for a while. Picked up the bad habit of cigars. Um, Been fighting with that for years. And the biggest fight has been that I enjoy smoking cigars, right? I'm not the one who followed behind, Suge and all them other because I saw them with cigars. No, I went to St. Thomas one day and I said, and I was walking by and they were chopping the tobacco up and just rolling up. I said, man, I smoked a lot of stuff in my lifetime. And I was always attracted to the pipe. Um, the corn pipes and the tobacco. I was always attracted to them, but never got to it. And I said, "Wow, let me try this cigar." And this was in St. Thomas. And then no sooner than I got back from the trip to St. Thomas, man, I was living in Delaware at the time. I was skitzing, running up and down 202 in Delaware, trying to find a cigar place. Yeah, and I finally found one. I started buying cigars by the box. I was buying boxes of cigars. So now I'm just down to intermittent smoking of cigars. I've been taking a patch. I've been exercising more. Uh, the wife got me a bench. I have other equipment out on the patio. So I got a full gym on the patio. I got the bench. I have the Nautilus Universal system. I have the treadmill. I have free weights. I have the stretch bands. I have those things like that. So it's been a couple of weeks now since I've had one. But that was the biggest part of it is I like cigars. But understanding the addictive qualities of smoking, understanding the addictive personality, the history of substance misuse, abuse, use, understanding those aspects itself, they're important to understand. I just got to understand that. So I use the herbs, but I cycle. I'll use them for maybe about 3 months, and then come off of them, and then pick back up 9 months, 12 months later. But not always take them, and then understand that there's some herbs you just take for the particular ailment, right? If you're talking about a need, a medical diagnosis been given, you talk to somebody, about the herbs, you talk to your doctor, let your doctor know that you're considering the herbs first and foremost. Don't just start taking herbs because somebody said it works, um, which is what my ass did. But I did talk to my doctor because, I was using, kava, ashwagandha, valerian root is something that I was using for my anxiety, helps me sleep, for my insomnia. Very putrid odor, but it works. But people who have histories of opiate uh, abuse, use, misuse, can't and shouldn't really be using the valerian root. Valerian root is very very potent in terms of its effect. Uh, Ashwagandha root is something that's really good for mood, uh, for anxiety. Is something that I use. I have medication as well that I take. So you just got to be aware of what it is you take when you take it. If I'm going to be using, well, I use ashwagandha in my other herb mixers. So I have ashwagandha, Malayan, uh, and a handful of other herbs that I use for vigor. Um, I work out, so tissue repair, energy, increasing the energy level, things of that nature. So read, study, and I use pen herbs in Philly. I've used them forever. They're very knowledgeable people in there. But again, talk to a doctor. You have a doctor. talk to a doctor, whether you're prescribed anything now or not. Talk to a doctor, right? To let a doctor know, hey, maybe I need to get a workup so I know what's going on before I just start dropping this stuff in me and so on and so forth. But it's people out there who uh, who are herbalists, who know what herbs can do for you, and you don't have to get stuck and not get any kind of help. But it works. That they keep showing these videos of people taking Malian and all this. Nah, it don't happen that way. But you do experience the loosening of the mucus as you continue to use it on a regular basis, and it brings back a healthiness to your lungs. Yeah. Yeah. So, but having said all of that, what I want to talk about today is 5 reasons why partners have emotional affairs. Emotional affairs. I always start to show off with some kind of dialogue that leads into content because I want you to understand life stressors. Life stressors. There are things that we don't tie into our relational difficulties, right? If you don't feel good about yourself, right? What's the likelihood of you presenting with a less enduring trait to others? It's a great possibility. If you're struggling with any level of addiction, whether it's illicit drugs, whether it's cigarettes, cigars, eating, whatever it is, how you feel about yourself forms your worldview. It forms your worldview. You understand what I'm saying? So the way you see the world, right, is based on how you feel about yourself. You dig what I'm saying? So all these things that I try to help you connect the dots. It's like I can't tell you to try God if I can't tell you how I see God present in my life. People can sit down all day long and give you testimonies about, yeah, well, I did this and I did that and I found the Lord. No, it didn't happen that way for me. And one day we'll have that discussion. We've had it, intermittently, but everybody has a story. My story is much deeper than any that I've heard, and I know that there are people out there who have had uh, contact, yeah, who've had contact, who've had a real life connection. Yeah, and that happened for me when I was 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, I'm 64. Person who never thought that they would see such an age. I didn't want to be 18. I was so like just torn between just being tired. And the next thing I know, 18 came, still going strong. Life wasn't too bad. Got older. Life was, hey, here I stand today by His will, His grace, and His mercy. So, um, but when we look at our partner, we have to realize that we're looking at somebody who has, like ourselves, been through or going through many trials and tribulations. Some people are still stuck in childhood. Some people regress more frequently than others to childhood events. Uh, People experience a lot of trauma in this life. And there aren't a whole lot of people who are seeking freedom through the right venues from these things. Yeah. Substance abuse, Use, misuse is one of the greatest go-to sources for people who are in pain. Yeah. The other go-to source is another person. Yeah. Yeah. Especially if they don't feel the connection with the partner that they have. And it's not an open door for blame. It's not an open door for blame. There are reasons why people feel compelled. Some are just hoes. You just a hoe. And that's what you want to be. I'm talking to men and women. You just want to be a hoe. Period. But everybody just don't want to be a hoe. Some people just they want the pain to go away. And they have expectations of a partner that are sometimes unreasonable, not irrational, unreasonable. I don't have the capacity to give that to you. I don't have the capacity to do that for you. And if you're looking for somebody to have the capacity to take your unresolved away, that's a problem in itself. So you have to begin to look at what it is that you're expecting from that other person. What do you expect for me to do? And I'm often in a spot because I'm a clinician. I do counseling. My focus is behavioral change, especially my own. So I fall into that category, right? I'm a person who doesn't I don't waste a whole lot of energy on nonsense. I'm very cognizant of other people. So my emotional intelligence is quite high. And having been married 4 times has increased my emotional intelligence because I looked at the things that I was accepting, the things that I was putting on my own plate that didn't belong to me, things on my own plate that I don't even eat. Yeah. And that's when you're taking somebody else's stuff and making it yours and trying to take the pain off of them and trying to help them heal when it ain't your meal. Yeah. That's part of emotional intelligence. When you stop blaming the other person and start looking at what it is that you're allowing, you have to stop allowing that to happen. Right? So, 5 reasons why partners have emotional affairs. This is an article by Janice Webb, PhD. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But I always give credit where credit is due. It ain't my damn article. Somebody else wrote this, right? Uh, it's part of our discussion, right? It's part of our discussion. So it's the foundation of our discussion, right? And you have to give credit where credit is due. She wrote this article. And again, when I do articles, I glance at them and say, okay, well, yeah, let's go with this. And like I said, I have aha moments just like you do. It's always about self discovery, it's always about personal growth and development for me. I can't fix you. I'm a change agent. I'm the deliverer of the information. I'm the one who, tries to move you in the direction, lead you toward self discovery. So maybe you can see, there's a possibility that this aspect of your life can way you have control over it and you can change it. And it doesn't have to stay that way. Other people can definitely stay the way they are, but you don't have to stay in those positions. You have control over that, right? So let's go into the article. Paying too little attention to feelings is a risk factor for emotional affairs, right? So, key points from this article: emotional affairs are not talked about as much as sexual affairs, yet they can do as much or more damage. Key point one. Point two, childhood emotional neglect often results in adults who are disconnected from their feelings, a risk factor. Point number three, there are five common causes of emotional strain and four steps you can take to prevent it in your marriage. Now, be clear how you can prevent it on your end is first and foremost. How do you keep you from being in the position of having an emotional affair? Let's go on to it. No one wants to talk about them because they're painful. Painful to think about the possibility of an affair happening with your relationship. And of course, painful if your relationship has been impacted by an affair. Sexual affairs tend to be rooted in anger. Let me say that again for the people on the front who had difficulty hearing that part. Sexual affairs tend to be rooted in anger, while emotional affairs tend to be rooted in loneliness. The reasons for having an emotional affair discussed below are by no means a way to excuse this form of behavior. They're only intended to help you prevent an affair and to help you understand yourself, your relationship, or any affair you may have experienced so that you can heal. Let's go right on into the list. Number one, emotion affairs, five reasons they happen. Reasons. Reasons. There's a difference between a reason and excuse. Number one, Jerry hates arguments. He grew up watching his parents fight, and he swore he would have a different marriage than them. But now, when issues do arise in his marriage, he brushes them under the rug. See the change? He doesn't think it's worth bringing up and starting a conflict. That would be even more uncomfortable to Jerry than pushing his ever growing list of grievances to the side. Lately, Jerry has felt distant from his wife. He doesn't feel understood. But the idea of sharing that with her terrifies him. Jerry is at risk of seeking emotional comfort elsewhere with someone with whom he could share his feelings without the threat of conflict. Now, I think that over 76% of acts of infidelity happen with the person who is in the workplace. Yeah. Happen with the person who is in the workplace. And I always share this with people. A company has you 40 hours a week, guaranteed, unless you take a day off, unless you're on vacation. They have us 40 hours a week if we're working full-time jobs. That means guaranteed, if I come to work and Susan comes to work, me and Susan are going to see each other every day in the workplace. Every day. We're going to see each other 8 hours a day. Depending on our roles, we might have constant interaction. But we're going to see each other for 8 hours a day. 5 days a week. How much time do you spend with your wife, with your husband? A day. Just you two. How much time do the two of you spend with each other a day? How much time do the two of you spend together a week? I see Susan 40 hours. I have 8 hours a day to be in her ear. I don't have that at home. Come on, y'all. Follow me here. Stop acting like it'll never happen to you. Stop acting like it ain't been you, that it ain't you now. That's a lot of time to spend with people, and you become familiar with one another. Mood changes. Hey, you all right? You look like you're a little pissed off this morning. What's going on? And even the most personable, let me change that. Even the most private people, at some point, let stuff seep out. Yeah. Little things seep out. It happens for a variety of reasons. Everybody has an agenda, right? See, if you are private, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. Why? Why do I want to talk to you about what's going on with you? There's a deficiency on my end. There's a deficiency on my end. You got to understand how this works, right? Why do I want to know how you doing? Do I really want to know how you doing? Or is that an open door for me to walk through, to have my needs met? Yeah. Now I got somebody I could talk to. When I ask my wife at home, what's going on, she falls short of hissing and growling at me. So I'm not going to ask her too many more times. So that's been established in our environment now. Well, I'm not asking her. I'm not asking. Right? So it ain't a whole bunch to talk about because I've taken that position like Jerry did. Right? Jerry, he saw his parents go through all. He wasn't going through none of that. He just brushed it under the rug. He just take it on the chin. Just take it on the chin. Eat that. Like I said early on in the show, you find yourself with stuff on the plate that you don't even eat. It ain't part of your diet, but you're eating it too. You may be nibbling on it here and there. You know what I'm saying? But you trying to make everything okay. You want everybody to be okay. You want this to be smooth, right? You don't want no conflict. You don't want no drama, right? And ultimately, like it says here, the distance starts being created between the two of you. Now you can't wait to get to work. Or you can't wait to get off work. So then y'all have these off work conversations. So when you get off work, right? Y'all call each other. Y'all talking on the phone. Right? On your drive home. Y'all talking. Just talking. Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. You said ain't nothing. We just talking. It wasn't nothing. We weren't talking like that. Just talking. We just, you just had stuff going on. She just had stuff going on. Oh, so you're their savior now. You're their savior now. And people want to say, oh, that's just jealousy. No, it has nothing to do with jealousy. It has everything to do with what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. Period. Plain and simple. You got a man at home. You do everything you're supposed to do to make sure that relationship is just like this one. Because you shouldn't be indulging in this kind of conversation with another person. Because we got many different flavors. But my woman shouldn't be indulging in a conversation with a male staff person, right? One of her colleagues. She shouldn't be having those kind of conversations. You're there to work. That ain't your homie. That ain't your friend. That's a coworker. And if this happens to be one of those situations where it's like, we homies, we were from, yeah, but you establish different boundaries now. Because it ain't that no more. Ain't supposed to be that no more. Dudes know dudes like women know women. Right? No, that's not how we do this. Stop putting yourself in harm's way. It's comfortable for you, and you need to ask yourself, why are you comfortable there? Why are you comfortable there? See, you got to be real clear on your boundaries with people, right? You got to be real clear with your boundaries. And if you ain't feeling real good about your relationship, if you ain't feeling real good about you do everything you possibly can to keep a Band-Aid on that bullet wound, and it continues to seep. It's not going to get any better, and it's just a matter of time before it moves from this connection to the next connection. It's already a connection because this person now feels comfortable around you, comfortable enough to talk about certain things, comfortable enough to say certain things to you without consequence. So you can't avoid stuff. When stuff is happening, you need to have a conversation about it. Pushing stuff up under the rug ain't gonna get it. Right? If it's something that you don't like, you speak up about it. You don't like it. You don't suppress saying something because of your own selfish wants and needs, because eventually it's going to come out, and eventually it's not going to be good. Right? Like you don't call yourself tolerating something because you hope it goes away, or because you don't want to leave that person, or you want that person to leave you, so you continue to stuff to minimize things that are important to you because they turn into something else. Now you are caught up in an emotional relationship with someone outside of your partner because you have made choices. You have decided that this is how you want to handle this, and you open the door for other stuff, for other people, for other things. So now you can't wait to get to work. Weekend been around, you and your partner ain't had a whole bunch of dialogue about nothing. Game, you sat and watched the game on Sunday. Y'all might have did church or on Sunday, or the synagogue on Saturday, or the masjid on Friday, or whatever the case is. That may have been the extent of what y'all did to interact with one another, and that was more of a dog and pony show because you want others to believe that it's good when it's not. When you keep checking your phone and you looking to see if he sent you a text message. When you keep grabbing your phone looking for an opportunity to send her an emoji and let her know you're thinking about her so she don't feel all the way on the side. You're either on the side or you're not on the side. But you can't keep stuffing it. If you're looking for perfection, be by yourself. You made this choice. I saw what my parents went through, right? I still can recall it as though it was yesterday, right? I was very young. She separated from him when she was 5, but I still have a sense of what took place in the environment at times. I still remember the yelling and screaming and the breaking of things. I can still recall, not visually see, but recall an element of that. So the residue is still there. Which is probably why I became such an enabler. Yeah. That's a whole nother discussion that we ain't having today. Number two, feeling hopeless about your marriage. So now you done already established a relationship with somebody else outside of your marriage. And you think because we ain't doing the do in the way that you think doing the do is, no, 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 no. We can't talk. Plain and simple. I got somebody I can talk to. Oh, last point. I'm a talker. So you can't get that one on me. But what if I wasn't a talker? Oh, you don't talk about nothing, and I try to get him to talk. And here you are talking to a person who's listening to you, who's talking to you. Oh, this is great. You talk. Oh my goodness. No, I have an agenda. I want the Gina. Right? I got an agenda. Oh yeah, I'm talking. My woman told me the same thing. I don't never talk about nothing. I'm using the same reasons you're using. That's why we're talking. I don't want no drama at home. I want to keep the peace, so I don't say nothing. We just quiet all the time. But you and me, oh, we get it in. We just talking up a storm. Yeah, this is great. But then the other side to me is that I'm a thinker. I'm a problem solver. I don't go to my boss. I've never gone to my boss. Not never, but after I learned, like, I didn't go to my boss with a problem, without a solution. Hey, this is happening, so on and so forth. So this is the way, and that's who I am. So when you're in a situation where a person has some kind of negative self perception of themselves and don't feel like they have are of any value or help to a person like me, because like, yo, you go through it, you take care of it, you move on. Yeah, but the king of the jungle, needs some support too. You need to know that. If you perceive me as being one who you can't help because I always go to God and because I always know, I might struggle less with the particular thing. If you give me some input, it may not be as long of a journey getting through it or working through whatever the difficulty is I'm faced with. But if you don't see it from that perspective, then you start distancing yourself from it. I'm an intellectual. I'm pretty damn smart, right? So if you feel like, okay, well, what am I going to, so I can be intimidating. But that's not a flaw. I'm not going to dumb down. I'm not going to stop being solution oriented. I'm not going to, so is that your issue or mine? Right? So that's how you see yourself. If you don't see yourself as my helper, as God has tasked you with, then that's not on me, that's on you. So that's where you have to look at you. Right? Number two, feeling hopeless about your marriage. Liana misses her husband. He hasn't been the same after retirement. Uh-oh, here we go. Maybe this one I should have skipped. He hasn't been the same after retirement and seems to have fallen into a depression. She tries to connect with him, but he gives her one-word answers and seems checked out. Liana convinces him to go to couples therapy with her, but she doesn't feel they're making any progress. She's beginning to feel hopeless, wondering if her husband will ever snap out of it. She feels so lonely. At work, she feels more like herself and has been confiding in John. I just got finished telling y'all, sir, didn't I? She has been confiding in John, her co-worker, who seems to understand what she's going through. Yeah, John. I'll tell you about John. Uh-huh. What's going on, girl? Uh-huh. Come on over here, sit down. Want some coffee? Ah. What's that? Yeah, well, he don't know. How old is he? Mm-hmm. See, you should have got yourself an old head. See, we know how to handle this kind of situation. You get them young ones, they all got all this energy, hormones all over the place, and they don't really care. They listen to their music, you know? But the old heads here, now we can fix that for you. Come here. And we know all the right things. John knows all the right things to say. John hasn't been interacting with you because, you just happen to work with him. John had that in his agenda already. What's up, girl? Hey. And even in situations where it's not that way, depending on where John is, will depend on where John goes. John can be totally innocent. John can be just 100% good guy. But when you start dropping some heavy stuff on John, and John starts absorbing some of that stuff, depending on where John is in his relationship, if he's even in one, will really determine where this goes. Yeah. It will really determine where and how far this is going to go. Remember, it don't always make it to sex, but the pleasure of the conversation is good enough for me. I have another source now. I don't have to come to you. I don't have to. I'm happy when I see John. John makes me happy. Yeah. I gave up on hubby. He done retired. He done checked out. We done tried counseling. I can't. I give up on him. There's John. Just got finished talking about this, right? That's how it happens. That's how it happens, right? It's an ongoing conversation that must be had. Why did he retire? When I made the decision that I wanted to retire, I was tired, man. I was just tired. I was just shot out 5 years up and down the highway. 5 years, right? And just looking at it, and other things start playing into it. And just looking at it, I was just done. I would like all the flavor had just pretty much gone from me. But I talked to my wife about it before I finalized my decision. Like, but then I put in place the LLC, right? See, and this is what you have to look at. So this whole thing with the husband, Liana knew these things about her husband before retirement. Yes, things change when a person retires, right? But what was he doing before that? What level of participation did John have? Not John. John is the dude that you want to get fired at the job. But what things did her husband have in place? Did they discuss retirement before he actually retired? What was the discussion about? What was the discussion about? See, this is the kind of stuff that you have to talk about. I've heard a lot of people retire, and I've heard a lot of changes that happen within their marriages. He got meaner. She got mean. She didn't do anything. They were never home. They was always traveling. While I was working, they was always on the go. Because that's what they want to do in their retirement. I'm sorry you don't have any time off, but this is what I've always wanted to do. So, they always on some kind of trip, so on and so forth. But people change in retirement. You don't have the same regimen of activities that happen day in and day out. But again, this came down to this is the kind of stuff you got to talk about in relationships. This is the part people don't want to do in relationships. People don't want to do this part. People don't want to do the part where it takes work to fix this. People want microwave results, right? What microwave results? There's more that could be done in this, but she chose this route, right? She chose the route with because she. So who seems to understand what she's going through? John seems to understand. No, John has an answer for you. Yeah, he's got an answer for you. He understands. He's got an answer for you, right? Yeah, he's got an answer for you. And then what's going to happen is after John gives you the answer that he really wants to give you, now you have to face your husband. Next point. Number 3, unequal emotional capabilities. Unequal emotional capabilities. We were just talking about this early on, right? Linda and her husband, Shane, have always been heavy drinkers. Linda started going to therapy about 2 years ago and has since become sober. She feels great and is actively involved in AA. She tries to share what she's learned with Shane, but he shuts down every time Linda talks about recovery. Shane has voiced that he feels Linda is different and that he doesn't entirely understand why Linda chooses to be sober. Linda feels devastated that her husband cannot recognize the positive change that she's made in her life and believes that Shane is in denial about his own addiction. Her sponsor is emotionally aware and attuned to what Linda feels. She's been relying on him for emotional support. So, so here's one of my pet peeves, right? This is a pet peeve of mine, right? About the whole 12-step process. Right? Okay. So let's address the first thing. First thing is Linda don't want to do this no more. That's her right. That's her right. You made the decision that you didn't want to drink anymore because what it is that you felt like the negative impact that it was having upon your life. Now, whether you had this discussion with Shane or not is not even here. Like, I'm tired of getting drunk. I'm tired of drinking. I'm tired of, coming to, I'm tired of all those things. That's not what I want anymore. All right, so stop on these. Would you be interested in doing that? No, I'm good. Okay. So, yes, you stop getting high, you stop drinking, life is going to change. You're going to see things different. Right? You're going to see things different. Plain and simple. Right? Um, the part of the devastation, right, of her being devastated that he wanted to remain, he wanted to continue drinking. That's what you do. Why I got to drink? They're both heavy drinkers. I don't want to stop drinking. That's what you want to do. Okay. So now you're out of love with me. Are you out of love with me, or you just want me to stop drinking and then you would be in love with me? So you fall out of love with me because I want to continue on this way. You have that right. You do. But when you look at these kind of situations, you knew that you were getting tired of it. You knew you were getting tired of it. So instead of confronting the pink elephant in the room, saying, "Hey, I want a different life for us," our connection seems to have been mainly about drinking. I think that I just the course has just kind of run for me at this point of continuing to drink, and I want to stop drinking, and I want you to stop too. I think our lives could be so much better without alcohol. Some kind of conversation to be had, so we can start having the conversation before getting to the point of you being devastated that I won't stop. He shuts down every time Linda talks about recovery. He's not interested in recovery. You talk about you. That's the first thing. You talk about you. You talk about what recovery is looking like for you. Don't come to me talking about, John, you need to stop because there's this. No, so these are the things that I learned about myself. These are some of the things that I'm learning about myself. Things I didn't look at that, caused me to drink. You understand what I'm saying? See, what ultimately happens for me, and this is where I run into, conflict with 12 steps. 12-step programs work. Don't get me wrong. And this is just any fellowship. But we're talking specifically about this article. So we're talking about the AA fellowship and NA fellowship. That's not the fellowships of recovery, right? First and foremost, right? The focus has to be on you. It's not about the other person. It's all about you, right? Part of sponsorship is understanding, okay, we're going to have this discussion, but like he still drinks. There's some people say, well, you can't be around anybody who's drinking. That's my husband. Why would I be telling somebody that? That's my husband. You're going to tell me I can't be around my husband because my husband continues to drink. Therefore, if I want to stop and stay stopped, he's going to have to stop too. That's bad information. That's bad information. I have the drinking problem. I have the issue with drinking. Plain and simple. Right? That's something that I have to come to the conclusion of. I have to stop this. So was this relationship really about the relationship with alcohol? Is the relationship between me and Shane about the alcohol? The what do you call it? The commonality of being heavy drinkers. Right? Because this is where you have to be honest at this point. Because you can't make it about Shane not wanting to stop. Shane don't feel like he has a problem. You don't have the right to tell him he has a problem. That's not your position. You have to be honest with you. When I got clean, I had to tell my children's mother, my wife at that time, listen. And I'm still regretful that I had taken her through all that I had taken her through, but that in order for me to grow, in order for me to go along in my path, that I had to come out of this marriage because it was not going to work. And I had to tell her, right? That it wasn't about her. It was about me. I can't give you something that I am incapable of giving, because we're talking about capabilities here, right? And here, this is what it's talking about: unequal emotional capabilities, right? I was emotionally capable of saying, hey, I can't do this anymore. Things are as they are. Things will be this way. You have the right to remain that way. I'm just simply saying that it's not for me. It's not for me. I can't grow in this. And I don't think it would be right to continue when I'm really not here. You understand? Wasn't for me. I got married at 24. I was still about that life when we got married. I was still in that life. you know, took her through hell. But I had to accept and understand that this was not for me. This was not going to be fruitful beyond the children we have. That was it. That I'd rather save the relationship as two good people in a situation that didn't work out instead of me doing things that was going to bring you undue, unnecessary, unwarranted pain and suffering, because that's all was going to happen. The other problem I had with this is it says the last thing it says her sponsor is emotionally aware and attuned to what Linda feels. She's been relying on him for I always had an issue with same gender not being same gender in terms of sponsorship because of this very thing. Because of this very thing. Listen, it's not an argument. It's a fact. It's a fact. And the same can happen with same gender. But there are two different lines that are being crossed here. When you put a woman who is emotionally distraught, who is severely damaged, who is damaged in any capacity, with a man to guide her through any of those aspects of self, I think that that's something that the same gender should be doing. You can all day long, you can sit down and say, well, it's about stopping and staying stopped. It's beyond that. Because once you stop, there are things that have to be confronted about me personally that you become privy to. And it can go left real fast. And this is where it's going here. So now the sponsor has taken a position in that person's life, right? Unbeknownst to them or known. You have to know. If you're sponsoring somebody, you have to know that that person has a husband at home and that they're disclosing all of these things to you. You have to know that there's more devastation to come when you fall out of that relationship. You have to know that. You have to know that there's more damage that's going to be done by you, first and foremost, because you're a male. She's in a relationship with a male, right? You have to know that. We're going to move on because I'll get started on that area. Like, and people do that. They choose, and they don't, they like, why would you choose a man? Why would you choose, somebody who's not the same sex? That's a whole nother set of issues. Because many women say, well, I got issues with women. Well, fix it. You don't have a man at home and get a man as a sponsor and think that the lines aren't going to be blurred and that there's not going to be a problem. And everybody ain't that tightly wrapped where they're going to sponsor you and they're not building some level of attachment. I had to tell a person who was sponsoring me, I had to put them in check. They want to tell me about the decision I made about a car and I told you, you're not invited. Like, who the fuck? Like, yo. So I have problems with fellowships. I have a problem with people think because you're part of a fellowship that they give them carte blanche to come out of their mouth with saying stuff. Nah, that's not what that, no. Reread what that looks like. See, everybody, just because you've been clean don't mean you can sponsor somebody. Right? A lot of people go on power trips. Right? A lot of people, you ain't worked on that area of your own self. You just don't drink. You don't get high. You ain't worked on that area of yourself. Now you want to come and sponsor somebody of the opposite sex? Unequal emotional capabilities. Does that person have the capacity to sit down and problem solve with you and work through the challenges, work through the difficulties? Right? Come on, man. If it changed like that, it would change. It would change no matter what the circumstances. Drinking just happens to be one aspect. Drinking just happens to be one aspect. How would you feel if it was Shane who got clean, or you know he was in an accident or something, he couldn't drink anymore because he damaged some internal organs, so he can't drink anymore. So now you don't have a drinking partner, so you go find another drinking partner. So the relationship was based on the alcohol, and that's what has to be confronted. We wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be having this conversation. Number four, not prioritizing the emotional needs of yourself or your partner. Jules and Jacob both grew up with childhood emotional neglect. As children, they weren't asked how they were feeling. If they did have an emotion, it would be ignored. They learned that their feelings weren't important and lived life as if feelings didn't exist. Today, as a married couple, they continue to ignore their feelings and have trouble recognizing the feelings of each other. Their conversations are about plans, facts, logistics, and parenting. They feel disconnected from each other and also from themselves. In reality, they don't even realize that emotional connection is missing because it's something that they never experienced. Both Jules and Jacob could be easily drawn to someone who can offer them something that has been missing their entire lives: emotional connection. This is how growing up with childhood emotional neglect affairs, right? Um, Not prioritizing their emotional needs, and this is really a big one that men are faced with because of how many men, most men, are groomed and conditioned. We're taught to be big boys while we're little boys. We're taught to be men when we're little boys and big boys, right? So we get a whole lot of mixed messages. Bottom line is, as little boys, we are conditioned to be men. We don't experience boyhood. We're not allowed to experience boyhood. Boyhood entails crying, hurts, pains, challenges, difficulties, failures. Little girls holding hands, kissing, hugging, not trying to get it in. We miss that. As boys, we miss that part because we're sent right into be a man. You need to do this. Be a man. Be a man. Stop crying. So we form this bunker, this concrete bunker inside of how we need to uh, address things in life, right? This is what we endure, and then we come into adulthood, and we get into marriages, we get into relationships, and this is what ultimately happens. We don't know how to have that conversation. We don't know how to have that conversation. I'm quite the opposite. I'm a talker. I no. What's happening? And when you have another person who, a woman, for instance, in my life, who doesn't have the capacity to have a conversation, where does that eventually go? I'm always the one who's like, yo, what's happening here? So I got to pull teeth. And then I'm getting parts of information because they don't know how to communicate that. But I'm prioritizing their emotional needs. But I can't make that person change how they approach right? I become the problem to you because you don't want to fix that yourself. You want me to fix it. You want to stay in that same condition. You want me to fix it. And then when I fall back, because I can't fix it, that's not my job is not to fix you. You want to hold on to that part of self. So you take that part of self and you find John because John listens to you. But why do you talk to John and not me? Because you don't like how I address things. You don't like the fact that I'm just cut and dry with things. You don't like the fact that I've given you an explanation about things. You want me to allow you to be there. You want me to allow you to complain and not say anything. You want me to allow that condition to exist within our relationship. And it's just knowing that it's just a matter of time. Knowing it's just a matter of time. Before the consequence of you remaining that way destroys the whole relationship. Now you want to be mad. Now we have an emotional upheaval coming from you because you didn't get something your way, because it's not happening your way, because you're being held accountable, because you're being held responsible, because you're being held to a standard that the other person shouldn't have to be subjected to. But you were going that route anyway by your inaction on addressing that aspect of yourself. So you of yourself or your partner. So you're not addressing your own stuff, knowing that you need to change this, knowing that this needs to improve. It's been discussed that this has to, because that's not, it's not fair for the other person to keep being subjected to one of your less endearing traits, your bad behavior over and over again. It's not fair to that person. It's not fair. And you keep doing it. And you know that it's already been told to you to stop. Because if we keep going in this direction, it's not going to be good. So now I'm the bad guy again. I'm the bad guy again because you want me to let it go. You want me to let you to continue to be that way because that's where you're comfortable at. Well, and when I make the decision, okay, I'm going to let you handle it by yourself. By yourself is where you're going to be because I'm not going to accept it. Because I already know how this story ends. When you don't change these kinds of things about yourself, the story always ends with John. It always ends with John. Because you need me to let you continue to be that way, even though it's causing difficulties within our relationship. And it talked about, I think in the bullets, it talked about, here it is. Childhood emotional neglect often results in adults who are disconnected from their feelings, a risk factor. When people don't confront these kinds of things about about themselves, this puts them in high risk situations, right? When you allow an aspect of self to exist within you, knowing it's destructive, knowing that if it doesn't change, that you could lose certain things in your life, knowingly, it's only going to end one way with John. And you're willing to put everything else at risk because you don't want to address that about yourself. That's ultimately what you're doing. You're putting everything at risk. So you have a good relationship. You got a good home, good family, seem to have things going on. But this is a deal breaker. People need to stop telling people to accept bad behavior, all in the name of this so-called thing called love. No, it doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You can't keep acting that way. When you're in a relationship, it's about change for both parties. It's about submission for both parties. It's about putting in work on yourself first and foremost. You don't put in work on me and see that it's things about you that you need to correct. And a lot of relationships are always focusing on what have you done for me lately? That was a song. Listen to the whole song. Listen to all the lyrics. Right? What have you done for you lately? Think about it. Because when somebody stops meeting needs in whatever areas those are, and you think that the solution is taking another person hostage to meet your needs, that's wrong in every sense. In every sense. In every sense. So they learned that their feelings weren't important and lived life as if their feelings didn't exist. It's a choice. You know it now. You know that this is tied into your childhood. We've had the conversation. What you gonna do about it? You said the part out loud that needed to be said. What you gonna do about it? You can't sit back and say, "Well, I don't know why I keep on." Okay, what you gonna do about it? Because you're not gonna keep telling somebody over and over again, "I don't know why, but I just keep it. I'm sorry." No, I'm sorry too. I'm sorry too. Right? Number 5, the last one, man. We almost at the hour. The lack of issues and lack of discomfort that a new relationship brings. This is number 5, and we're going down the list of reasons why partners have emotional affairs. Right? And again, these are reasons, not excuses. Not excuses. They turn into excuses, right? When you fail to do what it is that you know you need to do and you don't do it. Now it's an excuse. This is simply telling you you can stop it. There are things that you can do to stop it. And it's entirely up to you to stop it. You ain't got no business sitting down with John having a conversation with John about nothing that's personal in his life. You know, somebody may come to work one day and they got this going on. And you might, give some suggest. Hey, listen, why don't you have a conversation with your partner about that? Do you ever consider counseling? But when you sit down and you become the ear, cross the line. Cross the line. Telling you, you crossed the line. No, hey, listen, we just work together. I can't have that kind of conversation with you. I have a husband. I have a wife. Listen, hey, they got the EAP. Contact the EAP. Job has EAP. You can go ahead and I'm not getting into that. No. That's not proper. It's not proper for me to have sit down and have that kind of dialogue with you when I have no, no, I won't. No. Right? Number 5, Jerry, from example 1, met someone at the gym. Y'all remember Jerry? So let's go back to 1. Jerry hates arguments. Jerry is the dude who saw his parents, right, go at it. So Jerry is non-confrontational. He lets things happen. He lets things go. He hopes that they go away. That's Jerry, right? So Jerry met someone at the gym. After years of pushing down his true feelings and grievances toward his wife, he feels as though she doesn't even know him. My wife don't know me. I suppressed and pushed down and didn't, so she doesn't even know me. Now, she's my at the gym. After years of pushing down his true feelings and grievances toward his wife, he feels as though she doesn't even know him. When he talks to Lynn at the gym, he feels an instant spark, right? He feels so he feels it's like it's so nice to just have an easy conversation with someone new with no underlying resentments, right? He feels hopeful. You may have noticed that not one of these folks went looking for an emotional affair. It happens after a buildup of feeling alone and helpless. Jerry, Liana, Linda, Jules, and Jacob all had emotional needs that were unmet, whether they knew it or not. Right? Whether they knew it or not. Right? So we went through all the stories. Below are ways to prevent an emotional affair from impacting your relationship. Emotional affairs are preventable, especially if you are taking the steps to heal from childhood emotional neglect, right? So you can sit down and debate the issue if you choose to. You can get caught up if you choose to. Know that there's consequences, okay? So here are 5 ways to prevent them. Number 1, normalize having emotional needs. Understanding and accepting that emotional needs are a natural, normal, integral part of being a human. That'll make it easier for you to allow yourself to feel and express your needs. If necessary, you may have to fight for them, and that is a healthy thing to do. Yeah, you can't be non-confrontational when it comes to you and your own mental health, your own spiritual health, your own physical health. Because not dealing with the things, right, can turn into physical issues. Yeah, you can have all kinds of stress-related issues, high blood pressure, ulcers, all kinds of stuff if you don't confront it. These are your needs. You have to get your needs met. You have to sometimes step up and step on some feet and say, hey, you need to hear me. Number 2, know that having emotional needs is a part of being human. Your feelings and your needs are necessary and important, despite what you may have learned if you grew up with childhood emotional neglect. Right? What you have to say is important. Anger is a natural human response. Right? You didn't get these things as a kid. Okay, there was a whole lot of hugging in my household with mom either. But it was with Uncle Frank and Uncle John and Grandmom and Aunt D. Yeah, right? So it came from somewhere else. But that doesn't mean that now as an adult, I go somewhere else. I fight for it. I want it. Each one of the marriages that I have eventually terminated, the termination came on the heels of lack of reciprocation in the growth and development process that was necessary for that person. For that person. Therefore, it trickled down into the marriage, and it was just inevitable that it was going to come to an end. If you are not seeking to personally grow as well, if you don't see that I'm worthy enough, right, for you to fix that behavior, for you to work on that behavior for others, if we can work on it together. But you can't continue to ignore it. You can't continue to act in that manner and think that I'm supposed to keep staying. That ain't love. Not for you. It's love for me when I walk away, right? Number three, talk it out. When you avoid conflict, you also avoid strengthening your marriage, right? Having disagreements, as all people do, and expressing yourself to your partner are the key ingredients to feeling truly known and seen, right? Let me say that one more time. When you avoid conflict, you also avoid strengthening your marriage, right? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I don't do drama. I don't find a need to drag things out. Here's your problem. Here's the solution. What do you think? It's no such thing of here's your problem. There's the problem. I don't care what you think. Doesn't work that way. You talk it out. You confront it. You don't just let things go. Some people don't like confrontation. That's not on me. That's on you. I'm not going to allow you to just continue to do this. It affects us. Things that affect us, our relationship, are going to be discussed, are going to be confronted, are going to be addressed. If you think that's a bit too much for you, I give you my blessings. Number four, focus on your partner. Just as you have important feelings and emotional needs, so does your partner. So does your partner. Stop looking at men like me, women like me, who are solution oriented, who just don't sit around and bask in self pity, who sit around and complain, who believe in getting things done. Don't think that we don't need to be heard. Don't think that we don't have feelings about particular things. Don't think that. Don't believe that. Check in sometimes. How you doing? You've been working really hard this week. How you doing? Right? Anything I can help with? Oh, I'm good. I got this. That's how we function that way. Don't mean you fall back. Oh, you make me feel like I don't make you feel like anything. That's what I do because I get things done because I don't sit and just waddle in misery. No, you've gotten yourself to that point of being you're very significant. But just know that I'll tell you that, but I'm not going to keep on telling you that. For real. I'm not going to keep on validating you in my life. I'm here. I'm not complaining. I'm still with you. I'm standing by you. I'm standing strong. Right? But don't tell me to dumb down. Don't tell me that I gotta act this way or act that way for you to feel needed. No, that's not how that goes. That's not how that goes. I am who I am. I'm not going to bask in a problem when there's a solution right there. Right? But there are times when I struggle. You may not always see the struggle. But that don't mean I have to make myself struggle with something, right, in your presence, just so you can know that I do. I told you that I do. I told you that I need you. I have an understanding that the woman was created as my partner, and that I allow her to partner. I yield to that. I submit to that. But I'm not the complaining kind of person. But you sure as hell better be present when I do. You sure as hell better be present if I need to vent. We problem solve differently, but problem solve, effective problem solving. Getting a drink or doing a line or taking a smoke is not, for me, problem solving. It was at one point in time. I thought that was a solution. I'll go ahead and take a drink. Let me sleep it off. No, it's still there when you wake up. We problem solve differently. Make sure to tune in to what they might be feeling or needing. You need to tune in. I can tell you when my wife is going through something. I can tell you when something needs that she needs to talk about something or something she needs to tell me. I can tell. Right? But understand that that shouldn't be the foundation of functioning in our relationship, in any relationship. I should be aware, but I shouldn't always have to be the one to pull it out of you. I shouldn't always have to be the one to say something, because then that means that if it's not unsaid, if I am preoccupied with doing something else, if I am preoccupied with doing something else, or maybe I have just tired of doing it, that you use that as an excuse to be emotionally connected with John in the workplace. That's your job. You already know that you do that. You need to improve with that. You need to get better with that, because I'm not going to be your excuse or your reason for being connected with somebody else in the manner that you should be connected with me at home, simply because you didn't want to do the work. You took the easy route out. You went to John, and that's who you ultimately are going to be with. And you'll later find out that John doesn't even make up this much of what you had with me. That's what you want, right? So John gets a little Gina because he met that need for you. So that's how you pay. That's how you pay him, because that's what John wants. That's what Susan wants. They don't want you. They're taking advantage of that which you have presented to them in the aspect of your vulnerabilities. But you can't be vulnerable with your own partner. Make sense of that, right? And number 5, understand that a new person is not the solution, right? While someone new can feel exciting and free from the difficulties you may be experiencing in your current relationship with your partner, know that with time, those same difficulties will surface with somebody new. You are who you are. You are who you are. That ain't going to change, right? You're going to be you. No matter where you go, you take you with you. So just remember that part. Um, what happened to? Uh, yeah. So finding someone new means you just actually are just starting to cycle over. That's ultimately what you're doing. You're starting to cycle over with somebody else. That's what you're doing. That's why it seems easier. Well, it was easier in the beginning with me, wasn't it? Didn't we start out just talking? Yeah, think about it. We started out talking. We started out laughing and joking, and now here we are. So you're back with somebody else laughing and joking like we used to do. Now you got somebody new you're doing it with, and you don't think that it's still going to come to the same point. You haven't changed. Now you're still just avoiding what you need to change about you. And you keep this cycle going. And you keep this cycle going. It's what you do. You keep the cycle going. Sorry about that, y'all. But anywho, we we are at the hour. We are at the hour. I'm trying to queue up this here. Okay. We are at the hour. And as always, I thank you for tuning in. You can be doing anything else on a Saturday morning than sitting and listening to me for an hour and a half, because pretty much I play the music starting at 10 o'clock, but you hear the music, needs you to, you know, catch up on my music. Just had a this is ain't nothing is my one, two, three, my fourth release, I believe, for this year. Yeah, 4 releases this year. We're hitting the December. I might drop another one on you come December. I got a lot of stuff that's not completely written. Some stuff that's written. All I need to do is the music. But so for me, being a retiree, hey, it's a lot going on Saturday mornings, especially when you're at the job Monday through Friday, Saturday morning, you got to go to the market. You got to do this. You got to go here. You got to go there. Sunday comes along. You're trying to get some rest, trying to get prepared for Monday because you're going to see John on Monday. But thank you. Just bear in mind again the transition that's happening right now. I will no longer be on Instagram during the live show. You may see posts on Instagram, but I won't be on Instagram, perusing the feed or any of those things like that. Same way with TikTok. TikTok, I also use TikTok for promoting my product, but the focus is on building the Suburban Educational Station on YouTube. You guys have a great day. Listen, peace.
America.
This is my new release.
Just a figment of your imagination. Just look it up, look it up.
I think I released this one in March.
Get the definition. Then look around you. Reevaluate your position. Dreams and nightmares. Hopes and fears. Some big, some small. Got your trauma or recall.
And this one here just came out. This is One Time. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next Saturday. Peace.
Just look in your feet. Yeah,
Indeed.
An a la carte filled with beef,
Hate and greed.
greed.
Woo!
Grown men caught up in gossip and idle chatter. Sit around counting another man's money, betting on whose woman's ass is fatter. It's all laughs and giggles when they start calling her Wiggles.
Yeah, your main man pull up on them.
But these same dudes want to pull the heater when their main man starts chasing that cat, but labeling her a cheater when she claps back, brandishing his own goods like a badge of honor. But he has none for her. Sister, 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 there's far too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you lying. Are the goods really his or just on loan? After all, if she gives it away, it's just gone. Well, not all of it. Somebody else can get some.
One time. Make sure you check it
But
out.
why do we get so upset when somebody gives what belongs to them to someone outside of us when it was never ours in the first place?
I'm waiting for you.
But it does beg the question, why do you keep telling me it's mine? You deny me at will, then give it away as a resolve to our unresolved, and it makes me feel better.
About what?
About what? 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 Sister, 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 there's far too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you lying. Why is she the bride and he is the groom? She should stand for purity, commitment, and strength, while he is to be prepared and trained.
For what?
For what? Again, understanding the significance of this Eve to atom, one standing for evolution and the other being the smallest unit of everything, both contributing 23 chromosomes to make a whole one. But it only takes one to destroy a sun. Sister, 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 there's far too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you lying. Making this good one for bad. You know what I mean? Eventually, this all comes to full circle, be it the world, repetition of life, those in your life, or your constant sacrifice. It is the male ordained by the Creator who is to shoulder the responsibility of being the learned one, rightly guided by the only one, humankind, a body of one, a life of tested time has come. They had the opportunity, couldn't get the job done. There won't be another. There won't be another. There won't be another. The time is one. The time is one. The time is one. One. One.
Y'all have a great day. I'm your host as always, Spirit Lane. Peace.